Marley was dead, to begin with. There is no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good upon change for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead. Of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he were partners for I don't know how many years. Scrooge was his sole executor, his sole administrator, his sole friend, and sole mourner. And even Scrooge was not so dreadfully cut up by the sad event, but that he was an excellent man of business on the very day of the funeral, and solemnized it with an undoubted bargain. Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There it stood, years afterwards, above the warehouse door. Scrooge and Marley. The firm was known as Scrooge and Marley. Sometimes people new to the business called Scrooge Scrooge, and sometimes Marley, but he answered to both names. It was all the same to him. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner, hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire, secret and self-contained and solitary as an oyster. The cold within him froze his old features, nipped his pointed nose, shrivelled his cheek, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red, his thin lips blue, and spoke out shrewdly in his grating voice. A frosty rime was on his head, and on his eyebrows, and his wiry chin. External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm, no wintry weather chill him, no wind that blew was bitterer than he. No falling snow was more intent upon its purpose, no pelting rain less open to entreaty. Nobody ever stopped him in the street to say, with gladsome looks, "My dear Scrooge, how are you? When will you come to see me?" No beggars implored him to bestow a trifle, no children asked him what it was o'clock, no man or woman ever once in all his life inquired the way to such and such a place of Scrooge. Even the blind men's dogs appeared to know him, and when they saw him coming on would tug their owners into doorways and up courts, and then they would wag their tails as though to say, "No eye at all is better than an evil eye, dark master."
But what did Scrooge care? It was the very thing he liked, to edge his way along the crowded paths of life, warning all human sympathy to keep its distance.
Once upon a time, of all the good days in the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting-house. The door of Scrooge's counting-house was open that he might keep his eye upon his clerk, who, in a dismal little cell beyond, a sort of tank, was copying letters. Scrooge had a very small fire, but the clerk's fire was so very much smaller that it looked like one coal. But he couldn't replenish it, for Scrooge kept the coal-box in his own room.
Scrooge, sir, it's bitter cold out, and I was just thinking to put some coal on the fire, you know.
I predict, Cratchit, that it will be necessary for us to part.
A Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you!
Bah! Humbug!
Oh, go on, Christmas a humbug, Uncle. You don't mean that, I am sure.
I do. Merry Christmas? What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough.
Oh, come on then. What right have you to be dismal? What reason have you to be morose? You're rich enough.
Bah! Humbug!
Don't be cross, Uncle.
But what else can I be when I live in such a world of fools as this? Merry Christmas? Out upon Merry Christmas! What's Christmas time to you? But a time for paying bills without money? A time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer? A time for balancing your books and having each item in them through a whole dozen of months presented dead against you? If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should.
Uncle?
Nephew, keep Christmas in your own way and I'll keep it in mine.
Keep it, but you don't keep it.
Well, let me leave it alone then. Much good it may do you. Much good it has ever done you.
There are many things from which I might have derived good, by which I have not profited, I dare say, Christmas among the rest. But I am sure I have always thought of Christmas time, when it has come around, apart from the veneration due to its sacred name and origin, if anything belonging to it can be apart from that, as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The only time I know of in the long calendar of the year when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely and to think of how people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, Uncle, though he has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe it has done me good and will do me good. And I say, God bless it.
If I hear another sound from you, you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation. You're quite a powerful speaker, sir. I wonder you don't go into Parliament.
Oh, don't be angry, Uncle. Come on, dine with us tomorrow.
Yes, I will see you in hell first.
Oh, but why? Why?
Well, why did you get married?
Because I fell in love.
Because you fell in love? Good afternoon.
Oh, nay, Uncle, but you never came to see me before that happened. So why give it as a reason for not coming now?
Good afternoon.
I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why cannot we be friends?
Good afternoon.
I am sorry with all my heart to find you so resolute. We have never had any quarrel from which I have been a party. But I have made the trial in homage to Christmas, and I'll keep my Christmas humour to the last. So a Merry Christmas, Uncle!
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year!
Yeah, good afternoon!
Greetings of the season, Bob.
Same to you, I'm sure, sir.
Here's another fellow, my clerk, with 15 shillings a week, and a wife, and a family, talking about a Merry Christmas. I'll retire me to Bedlam.
The Scrooge and Molly's, I believe. Oh! Have we the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley has been dead these 7 years since. He died 7 years ago this very night.
Oh, we have no doubt that his liberality will be well represented by his surviving partner.
At this festive time of the season, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually desirable that we should make some slight provision for the poor and destitute who suffer greatly at this present time. Many thousands are in want of common necessaries. Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comforts, sir.
Are there no prisons?
Oh, plenty of prisons.
And the union workhouses, are they still in operation?
They are. Still, I wish they were not.
The treadmill and the poor law are in full vigour then?
Both very busy, sir.
I was afraid from what you said at first that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course. I'm very glad to hear it.
Under the impression that they scarcely furnish Christian cheer of mind or body to the multitude, a few of us are endeavouring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat, drinks, and a means of warmth. We choose this time because it is a time of all others when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. What shall we put you down for?
Nothing.
You wish to be anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. Since you asked me what I wish, that is my answer. I don't make merry myself at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry. I help to support the establishments I have mentioned. They cost enough, and those who are badly off
They can't go there, and many would rather die.
Well, if they'd rather die, then let them. Besides, excuse me, I don't know that.
But you might know it.
What? It's not of my business. They should die to reduce the surplus population. I mean, it's hard enough for a man to understand his own business and not interfere with other people's. Mine occupies me constantly. Good afternoon.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Saviour was born on Christmas Day.
You'll want all day tomorrow, I suppose.
Well, if quite convenient, sir.
Well, it's not convenient, and it's not fair. If I was to stop £5 for it, you'd think yourself ill-used, I'll be bound. But you don't think me ill-used when I have to pay a day's wages for no work.
It's only once a year, sir.
That's a poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose you must have the whole day. Be here all the earlier next morning.
The office was closed in a twinkling, and the clerk went down a slide on Cornhill at the end of a lane of boys 20 times in honour of its being Christmas Eve, and then ran home to Camden Town as hard as he could pelt to play at blind man's buff. Scrooge took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, and having read all the newspapers and beguiled the rest of the evening with his banker's book, went home to bed. He lived in chambers which had once belonged to his deceased partner. They were a gloomy suite of rooms in a lowering pile of building up a yard, where it had so little business to be that one could scarcely help fancying it must have run there when it was a young house, playing at hide-and-seek with other houses, and forgotten the way out again. It was old enough now, and dreary enough, for nobody lived in it but Scrooge, the other rooms being all let out as offices. The yard was so dark that even Scrooge, who knew its every stone, was fain to grope with his hands. Now, it is a fact that there was nothing at all particular about the knocker on the door, except that it was very large. It is also a fact that Scrooge had seen it night and morning during his whole residence in that place. Let it also be borne in mind that Scrooge had not bestowed one thought on Marley since his last mention of his 7 years dead partner that afternoon. And then let any man explain to me, if he can, how it happened that Scrooge, having his key in the lock of the door, saw in the knocker, without its undergoing any intermediate process of change, not a knocker, but Marley's face. Up Scrooge went, not caring a button for that. Darkness is cheap, and Scrooge liked it. But before he shut his heavy door, he walked through his rooms to see that all was right. He had just enough recollection of the face to desire to do that.
Sitting room, bedroom, lumber room. All as they should be. Nobody under the table, nobody under the sofa, nobody under the bed, and nobody in the closet. Ha! Humbug! Humbug still! I won't believe you.
I know it.
How now? What do you want with me?
Much.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
Who were you then? Particular to for a shade.
Life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Can you sit?
I can.
But do it then.
You don't believe in me.
I don't.
What evidence would you have of my reality beyond that of your senses?
I don't know.
Why do you doubt your senses?
Because a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them enemies. You may be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of an underdone potato. There's more of gravy than of grave about you, whatever you are. There. You see this toothpick?
I do.
You're not looking at it.
I see it notwithstanding.
All I have to do is swallow this and be, for the rest of my days, persecuted by a legion of goblins, all of my own creation. Humbug, I tell you. Humbug. Mercy! That dreadful apparition! Why do you trouble me?
Man of the worldly mind, do you believe in me or not?
I do. I must. But why do spirits walk the earth? And why do they come to me?
It is required of every man that the spirit within him should walk abroad among his fellow men, and travel far and wide. And if that spirit goes not forth in life, it is condemned to do so after death. It is doomed to wander through the world. Oh, woe is me! And witness what it cannot share, but might have shared on earth, and turned to happiness.
You are fettered. Tell me why.
I wear the chain I forged in life. I made it, link by link and yard by yard. I girded it on of my own free will, and of my own free will I wore it. Is its pattern strange to you, or would you know the weight and length of the strong coil you bear yourself? It was full, as heavy and as long as this 7 Christmas Eves ago. You have laboured on it since. It is a ponderous chain.
Jacob? Old Jacob Marley? Tell me more, and speak comfort to me, Jacob.
I have none to give. It comes from other regions, Ebenezer Scrooge, and is conveyed by other ministers to other kinds of men. Nor can I tell you what I would. A very little more is all permitted to me. I cannot rest. I cannot stay. I cannot linger anywhere. My spirit never walked beyond our counting house. Mark me, in life my spirit never roved beyond the narrow limits of our money-changing hole, and weary journeys lie before me.
You must have been very slow about it, Jacob.
Slow?
7 years dead and travelling all the time?
All the time. No rest, no peace, incessant torture of remorse.
You travel fast?
On the wings of the wind.
You might have got over a great quantity of ground in 7 years.
Captive, bound, and double-ironed, not to know that ages of incessant labour by immortal creatures for this earth must pass into eternity before the good of which it is susceptible is all developed. Not to know that any Christian spirit working kindly in its little sphere, whatever it may be, will find its mortal life too short for its vast means of usefulness. Not to know that no space of regret can make amends for one life's opportunity misused. Yet such was I. Oh, such was I.
You were always a good man of business, Jacob.
Business. Mankind was my business. The common welfare was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. The dealings of my trade were but a drop of water in the comprehensive ocean of my business. At this time of the rolling year I suffer most. Why did I walk through crowds of fellow beings with my eyes turned down, and never raise them to that blessed star which led the wise men to a poor abode? Were there no poor homes to which its light would have conducted me? My time is nearly gone.
I will. But don't be hard upon me. And don't be flowery, Jacob, pray.
How how it is that I appear before you in a shape that you can see, I may not tell. I have sat invisible beside you many and many a day. That is no light part of my penance. I am here tonight to warn you that you have yet a chance and hope of escaping my fate. A chance and hope of my procuring Ebenezer.
You were always a good friend to me. Thank you.
You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
Is that the chance and hope you mentioned, Jacob?
It is.
Well, I think I'd rather not.
Without their visits you cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first tomorrow when the bell tolls 1.
Couldn't I take them all at once and have it over, Jacob?
Expect the second on the next night at the same hour. The third upon the next night when the last stroke of 12 has ceased to vibrate. Look to see me no more, and look that, for your own sake, you remember what has passed between us.
The air was filled with phantoms wandering hither and thither in restless haste and moaning as they went. Every one of them wore chains like Marley's ghost. Some few, they might be guilty governments, were linked together. None were free. Many had been personally known to Scrooge in their lives. He had been quite familiar with one old ghost in a white waistcoat with a monstrous iron safe attached to its ankle, who cried piteously at being unable to assist a wretched woman with an infant whom it saw below upon a doorstep. The misery with them all was clearly that they sought to interfere for good in human matters, and had lost the power forever. Whether these creatures faded into mist, or mist enshrouded them, he could not tell, but they and their spirit voices faded together, and the night became as it had been when he walked home.
What time is it? 45 minutes after 12. 12? It was past 2 when I went to bed. The clock must be wrong. An icicle must have got stuck in the works. 12? It isn't possible that I can have slept through a whole day and far into another night. It isn't possible that anything can have happened to the sun, and this is 12 at noon. There are no people running to and fro and making a great stir, as there unquestionably would have been if the night had taken possession of the world. It's a great relief. What would become of my loans if there were no days to count by? But if I have slept through a whole day and into another night, Jacob warned me of a visitation when the bell tolled 1. Quarter past? Half past? to it? The hour itself. And nothing else.
Hey,
Ah! Are you the spirit whose coming was foretold to me?
I am.
Who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past.
Spirit, I don't know why, but I feel a special desire to see you wear this cap. I pray you will be covered.
What? Would you so soon put out with worldly hands the light I give? Is it not enough that you are one of those whose passions made this cap and forced me through whole trains of years to wear it low upon my brow?
I didn't mean to cause you offence. I have not knowingly done so. What business brings you here?
Your welfare.
Well, I'm much obliged, but perhaps a night of unbroken rest might be more...
Your reclamation, then. Take heed. Rise and walk with me.
I am mortal and liable to fall.
Bear but a touch of my hand. There. And you shall be upheld in more than this.
They stood upon an open country road, with fields on either hand. The city had entirely vanished. Not a vestige of it was to be seen. The darkness and the mist had vanished with it, for it was a clear, cold winter day, with snow upon the ground.
Good heaven. I was bred in this place. I was a boy here.
The spirit's gentle touch, though it had been light and instantaneous, appeared still present to the old man's sense of feeling. He was conscious of 1,000 odours floating in the air, each one connected with 1,000 thoughts and hopes and joys and cares, long, long forgotten.
Your lip is trembling. And what's that upon your cheek?
A pimple. Lead me where you will.
You remember the way?
Remember it? I could walk it blindfold.
Oh, strange to have forgotten it for so many years. Well, let's go on.
Right, it's Tom Hawthorne and Charles and Ned Meadows and young Henry Patchett. Henry! Henry!
These are but shadows of the things that have been. They have no consciousness of us.
Happy Christmas, Henry.
Happy Christmas.
What was Happy Christmas to Scrooge? Out upon Merry Christmas. What good had it ever done him?
The school is not quite deserted. A solitary child neglected by his friends is there still.
I know it. Poor boy. I wish... it's too late now.
What's the matter?
Nothing. Nothing! There was a boy singing a Christmas carol at my home last night. I should like to have given him something. That's all.
Let's see. Another Christmas. Oh, he's alone again. When all the other boys have gone home. Home for the holidays.
Dear brother. Oh, I've come to bring you home, dear brother. To bring you home.
home, little fan?
Yes, home for good and all, forever and ever. Father is so much kinder than he used to be that home's like heaven. He spoke so gently to me one dear night when I was going to bed that I was not afraid to ask him once more if you might come home. And he said yes, you should. And he sent me in a coach to bring you, and you're to be a man and never ever to come back here. But first, we're to be together all the Christmas long and have the merriest Christmas time in all the world. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on your troubles will be out of sight. Through the years we all will be together, if the fates allow. So hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now.
You're quite a woman, little fan.
Hello, bring down Master Scrooge's box there, dear. Oh, congratulations. Good luck to you, Master Scrooge. You to be leaving us today, my boy, my dear boy. Have some wine and cake before your journey. You there, boy? Post boy to put Master Scrooge's box on the chaise and offer him some wine.
I did, sir. He says if it's the same tap as he tasted last time, he'd rather not.
Always a delicate creature, whom a breath might have withered. But she had a large heart.
So she had. You're right. I won't gainsay it, Spirit. God forbid.
She died a woman, and had, as I think, children.
One child.
True. Your nephew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although they had but that moment left the school behind them, they were now in the busy thoroughfares of a city, where shadowy passengers passed and repassed, where shadowy carts and coaches battled for the way, and all the strife and tumult of a real city were. It was made plain enough by the dressing of the shops that here too it was Christmas time again, but it was evening, and the streets were lighted up.
Do you know this warehouse?
Know it. I was apprenticed here. It's old FEZZIWIG. Oh, bless his heart, it's FEZZIWIG alive again.
Oh there, Ebenezer. No more work tonight. Christmas, Ebenezer. Let's have the shutters up before a man can say Jack Robinson. Hello, clear away, my lad. And let's have lots of room here and here. Cheer up, Ebenezer.
In came a fiddler with a music book, and went up to the lofty desk, and made an orchestra of it, and tuned like 50 stomach aches. In came Mrs. Fezziwig, one vast substantial smile. In came the housemaid with her cousin the baker. In came the cook with her brother's particular friend the milkman. In came the boy from over the way, who was suspected of not having board enough from his master, trying to hide himself behind the girl from next door but one, who was proved to have had her ears pulled by her mistress. In they all came, one after another, some shyly, some boldly, some gracefully, some awkwardly, some pushing, some pulling. In they all came, anyhow and everyhow.
Ebenezer, meet Belle.
And then the fiddler struck up the Sir Roger de Coverley.
There were more dancers, and there were forfeits, and more dancers, and there was cake, and there was negus, and there was a great piece of cold roast, and there was a great piece of cold boiled, and there were mince pies, and plenty of beer.
3 cheers for Mr. Fezziwig. Hip hip.
Oh.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray!
Oh, a small matter to make these silly folks so full of gratitude.
Small?
Why is it not? He has spent but a few pounds of your mortal money, 3 or 4 perhaps. Is that so much that he deserves this praise?
It isn't that. It isn't that, Spirit. He has the power to render us happy or unhappy, to make our service light or burdensome, a pleasure or a toil. Say that his power lies in words and looks, in things so slight and insubstantial that it is not possible to add and count them up. What then? The gift he gives is quite as great as if it cost a fortune.
What's the matter?
Nothing particular.
Oh, something, I think.
I should like to be able to say a word or two to my clerk just now. That's all.
My time grows short. Quick.
Again Scrooge saw himself. He was older now, a man in the prime of life. His face had not the harsh and rigid lines of later years, but it had begun to wear the signs of care and avarice. There was an eager, greedy, restless motion in the eye, which showed the passion that had taken root, and where the shadow of the growing tree would fall.
It matters little. To you, very little. Another idol has displaced me, and if it can cheer and comfort you in time to come, as I would have tried to do, I have no just cause to grieve.
What idol has displaced you?
A golden one.
This is the even-handed dealing of the world. There is nothing on which it is so hard as poverty, and there is nothing it professes to condemn with such severity as the pursuit of wealth.
You fear the world too much. All your other hopes have merged into the hope of being beyond the chance of its sordid reproach. I have seen your nobler aspirations fall off one by one, until the master passion, gain, engrosses you. Have I not?
What then? Even if I've grown so much wiser, what then? I'm not changed towards you, am I?
Our contract is an old one. It was made when we were both poor and content to be so, until in good season we could improve our worldly fortune by our patient industry. You are changed. When it was made, you were another man.
I was a boy.
Your own feeling tells you that you are not what you are. I am. That which promised happiness when we were in one heart is fraught with misery now that we are two. How often and how keenly I have thought of this. I will not say. It is enough that I have thought of it and can release you.
Oh, have I ever sought release?
In words, no. Never.
In what then?
In a changed nature, in an altered spirit, in another atmosphere of life. Another hope as its great end. In everything that made my love of any worth or value in your sight. If this had never been between us, tell me, would you seek me out and try to win me now? No.
You think not?
I would gladly think otherwise if I could. Heaven knows! When I have learned a truth such as this, I know how strong and irresistible it must be. But if you were free today, tomorrow, yesterday, can even I believe that you would choose a dowerless girl, you who, in your very confidence with her, weigh everything by gain, or choosing her, if for even a moment you were false enough to your one guiding principle to do so? Do I not know that your repentance and regret would surely follow? I do. I release you. with a full heart, for the love of him you once were. The memory of what is past half makes me hope you will have pain in this. A very, very brief time, and you will dismiss the recollection of it gladly, as an unprofitable dream, from which it happened well that you awoke. May you be happy in the life that you have chosen.
Spirit! Show me no more! Conduct me home. Why do you delight to torture me?
One shadow more.
No more! No more! No, I don't wish to see it. Show me no more. Belle.
It is not she. 30 Christmases have passed. This is her daughter.
Your father has come home, child.
Mother.
Grandfather!
Presents!
Can we see them?
Mother, grandfather's home.
Look, yes.
Look, it's a fake turkey glued to a wooden platter.
I've got a small wagon with wheels.
Mother!
Turkey.
Mother, the baby has eaten the wooden turkey.
False alarm. We've found the turkey.
I think you should go and rescue your father.
Come now, to bed all of you. Sarah, see they're put to bed.
At one point, I had 4 of them climbing me like a ladder.
You have been wonderful with them while Charles is away. They have quite stolen every gift you brought.
Oh, except this.
And now Scrooge looked on more attentively than ever, and he thought that such another creature, quite as graceful and as full of promise, might have called him father, and been a springtime in the haggard winter of his life.
Oh, father! I must go and see them all abed. Good night, father, mother.
Good night, my dear.
Belle, I saw an old friend of yours this afternoon.
Who was it?
Yes.
How can I? Don't I know? Mr. Scrooge.
Mr. Scrooge it was. I passed his office window, and as it was not shut up and he had a candle inside, I could scarcely help seeing him. His partner lies upon the point of death, I hear, and there he sat, alone, quite alone in the world, I do believe.
Spirit, remove me from this place.
I told you. These were shadows of the things that have been. That they are what they are. Do not blame me.
Remove me! I cannot bear it!
I've come to bring you home, dear brother, to bring you home, home.
Oh, there, Ebenezer!
Mother, grandfather's home, brother. Bring you home, home.
But leave me!
Grandfather's home.
Conduct me back! Hold me no longer! As I thought, almost 1 o'clock. I have slept into another night and am awakened for Marley's second messenger. I wonder where it will appear. This one will not take me by surprise or make me nervous.
Ebenezer Scrooge, come in and know me better, man. I am the ghost of Christmas present. Look upon me. You have never seen the like of me before.
Never.
Have never walked forth with the younger members of my family, meaning, for I am very young, my elder brothers born in these later years.
Well, I don't think I have. I'm afraid I have not. Have you had many brothers, Spirit?
More than 1,800.
It's a tremendous family to provide for. Spirit, conduct me where you will. I went forth last night on compulsion and learned a lesson that is working now. Tonight, if you have aught to teach me, let me profit by it.
Touch my robe.
The room, the fire, the ruddy glow, the hour of night, all vanished instantly, and they stood in the city streets on Christmas morning, where, for the weather was severe, the people made a rough but brisk and not unpleasant kind of music, in scraping the snow from the pavement in front of their dwellings, and from the tops of their houses, whence it was mad delight to the boys to see it come plumping down to the road below, and splitting into artificial little snowstorms. The sky was gloomy, and the shortest streets were choked up with a dingy mist, half-thawed, half-frozen, whose heavier particles descended in a shower of sooty atoms, as if all the chimneys in Great Britain had, by one consent, caught fire, and were blazing away to their dear hearts' content. There was nothing very cheerful in the climate or the town, and yet there was an air of cheerfulness abroad that the clearest summer air and brightest summer sun might have endeavoured to diffuse in vain. The poulterers' shops were still half open, and the fruiterers were radiant in their glory. The grocers, nearly closed, with perhaps 2 shutters down, or 1, but through those gaps such glimpses! The customers were all so hurried and so eager in the hopeful promise of the day that they tumbled up against each other at the door, crashing their wicker baskets wildly, and left their purchases upon the counter, and came running back to fetch them, and committed hundreds of the like mistakes, in the best humour possible. There emerged from scores of by-streets, lanes, and nameless turnings innumerable people carrying their dinners to the bakers' shops.
Oh! Excuse me, can you get where you're going, please?
May, you better watch your way yourself.
Now listen.
Oh, look. Here, let me help. It's a shame to quarrel on Christmas Day.
Is there a peculiar flavour in what you sprinkle from your torch?
There is, my own.
Would it apply to every kind of dinner on this day?
To any kindly given. A poor one most.
Why to a poor one most?
Because it needs it most.
Spirit, I wonder you, of all the beings in the many worlds about us, should desire to cramp these people's opportunities for innocent enjoyment.
Aye.
Yeah, you would deprive them of their means of dining every seventh day. Often the only day on which they can be said to dine at all, wouldn't you?
Aye.
You seek to close these places on the seventh day. It amounts to the same thing.
I seek.
Well, forgive me if I'm wrong, but it has been done in your name, or at least in that of your family.
There are some upon this earth of yours who lay claim to know us, who do their deeds of passion, pride, ill will, hatred, envy, bigotry, and selfishness in our name, who are as strange to us as all our kith and kin, as if they had never lived. Remember that, and charge their doings on themselves, not us.
I will.
Do you know this place?
I do not.
It is the dwelling of your clerk, Bob Cratchit. Blessings upon this house.
We've been to the baker's. We fetched our goose back.
The potatoes are nearly done.
Whatever has got your precious father then? And your brother, Tiny Tim? And Martha weren't as late last Christmas as by half an hour.
Here's Martha, Mother.
Here's Martha, Mother.
Hurrah! Oh, there's such a goose, Martha.
Why, bless your heart alive, my dear. How late you are.
We had a deal of work to finish up last night, Mother, and had to clean up today.
Well, never mind so long as you are come. Sit ye down before the fire, my dear, and have a warm, Lord bless ye.
Oh, no, there's Father coming.
Hide, Martha, hide.
Oh, we're back, my dears. Why? Where's our Martha?
Not coming.
Not coming? Not coming upon Christmas Day?
Happy Christmas, Father!
Oh, Cratchit, you are a gullible fool.
Hey, take Tim out of the wash house.
You can hear the pudding singing in the copper.
And how did our little Tim behave?
Oh, as good as gold, and better. Somehow he gets thoughtful, sitting by himself so much, and thinks the strangest things you ever heard. He told me, coming home, that he hoped the people saw him in the church because he was a cripple, and it might be pleasant to them to remember upon Christmas Day who made lame beggars walk and blind men see. I do believe he's growing strong and hearty. Now that's what I call a goose. Would you look at that? All right, let's carve this up. Oh my goodness. Oh, there's some for you. And some for you. Yeah. Oh, Peter, I've news for you. I have a situation in my eye for you.
A job, Father.
If you can obtain it, it will bring full 5 and 6pence weekly.
Peter's going to be a man of business.
And how's your situation at the milliners then, Martha?
Hard work, Mother. We have to work 10 hours at a stretch, but tomorrow will be a holiday.
Martha told me yesterday that she had a countess and a lord in the shop a few days ago.
What does a lord look like, Martha?
He was much about as tall as Peter.
My dears, I do believe there was never such a goose as this cooked.
And we haven't ate it all at last.
Shall I fetch the pudding, Mother?
We want pudding. We want pudding.
I'll fetch it in.
Shall I help?
No, I'll go alone. I'm a bit too nervous for witnesses.
Suppose it's not done enough?
What if it breaks in turning out?
Or catches a light?
What if someone got over the backyard wall and stole it while we were merry with the goose?
Who would like a little bit then?
Oh, look at this. My dear, this is without a doubt the greatest success you have achieved since our marriage.
Well, Now the weight is off my mind. I must confess, I had my doubts about the quantity of flour.
It's excellent, Mother.
First class.
Nobody seems to think it at all a small pudding for a large family.
It would be flat heresy to do so. Any Cratchit would blush to hint at such a thing.
Now, my dears, let's have a circle around the fire. Some punch for you.
Thank you.
And some punch for you.
You want only a little bit.
Oh, only a little bit, all right. So, Merry Christmas to us all, my dears. God bless us.
God
bless us.
God bless us.
God bless us, everyone.
Spirit, tell me if Tiny Tim will live.
I see a vacant seat in the poor chimney corner, and a crutch without an owner, carefully preserved. If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, the child will die.
No. No, 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 kind spirit, say he will be spared.
If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, none other of my race will find him here. What then? If he be like to die, he'd better do it and decrease the surplus population. Man, if man you be in heart, not adamant, forbear that wicked cant until you have discovered what the surplus is and where it is. Will you decide what men shall live, what men shall die? It may be that in the sight of heaven, you are more worthless and less fit to live than millions, like this poor man's child. Oh God, to hear the insect on the leaf pronouncing on the too much life among his hungry brothers in the dust.
Mr. Scrooge, I'll give you Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
The founder of the feast, indeed. I wish I had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feast upon, and I hope he'd have a good appetite for it.
My dear, the children, Christmas Day.
It should be Christmas Day, I am sure, on which one drinks to the health of such an odious, stingy, odd, unfeeling man as Mr. Scrooge. You know he is, Robert. Nobody knows it better than you, poor fellow.
My dear, Christmas Day.
I'll drink his health for your sake, and the day's not for his. Long life to him, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. He'll be very merry and very happy, I have no doubt.
There was nothing of high mark in this. They were not a handsome family. They were not well dressed. Their shoes were far from being waterproof. Their clothes were scanty, and Peter might have known, and very likely did, the inside of a pawnbroker's. But they were happy, grateful, pleased with one another, and contented with the time. And when they faded and looked happier yet in the bright sprinklings of the spirit's torch at parting, Scrooge had his eye upon them, and especially upon Tiny Tim, until the last. By this time it was getting dark and snowing pretty heavily, and as Scrooge and the spirit went along the streets, the brightness of the roaring fires in kitchens, parlours, and all sorts of rooms was wonderful. Here the flickering of the blaze showed preparations for a cosy dinner, with hot plates baking through and through before the fire, and deep red curtains ready to be drawn to shut out cold and darkness. There all the children of the house were running out into the snow to meet their married sisters, brothers, cousins, uncles, aunts, and be the first to greet them. But if you had judged from the numbers of people on their way to friendly gatherings, you might have thought that no one was at home to give them welcome when they got there, instead of every house expecting company and piling up its fires half chimney high. The very lamplighter who ran on before, dotting the dusky street with specks of light, and who was dressed to spend the evening somewhere, laughed out loudly as the spirit passed, though little kenned the lamplighter that he had any company but Christmas.
He said the Christmas was a humbug. As I live, he believed it too.
For him, Fred.
Look, he's a comical old fellow, that's the truth, and not so pleasant as he might be. However, his offences carry their own punishment, and I have nothing to say against him.
I'm sure he is very rich indeed, Fred. At least you always tell me so.
Oh, my dear, his wealth is of no use to him. He don't do any good with it. He don't make himself comfortable with it. He hasn't the satisfaction of thinking that he's ever going to benefit us with it.
I have no patience with him.
Oh, I have. I am sorry for him. I couldn't be angry with him if I tried. Who suffers by his ill things? Himself. Always. Here, he takes it into his head to dislike us, and he won't come and dine with us. But what's the consequence? He don't lose much of a dinner.
Indeed, I think he loses a very good dinner. Yes?
Definitely, absolutely.
Glad to hear it, because I haven't great faith in these little housekeepers. What do you say, Topper?
Oh, a bachelor is a wretched outcast who has no right to express an opinion on the subject. Eh?
Do go on, Fred. He never finishes what he begins to say. He's quite a ridiculous fellow.
I was only going to say that the consequence of his taking a dislike to us and not making merry with us is, as I think, that he loses some pleasant moments, which could do him no harm. I am sure he loses pleasanter companions than he can find in his own thoughts, either in his mouldy old office or his dusty old chambers. I mean to give him the same chance every year, whether he likes it or not, because I pity him. He may rail at Christmas till he dies, but he can't help thinking better of it. I defy him. If he finds me going there in good temper, year after year, and saying, Uncle Scrooge, how are you? If it only puts him in the vein to leave his poor clerk £50, that's something. And I think I shook him yesterday.
What about a game?
Oh.
Orphans.
Oh, blind man's buff. Yeah.
Hide and seek?
Why not yes or no?
Oh,
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I have it. I will begin. I'm thinking of something. You may ask me questions, and I may only answer yes or no.
Excellent.
Is it something alive?
No.
Do you find it in the country?
No.
In the town?
In the town.
I said that.
Yes.
A horse.
Fred, it's not alive.
A dead horse.
No.
No.
Is it in a building?
No.
In the street?
In a garden?
No.
On a horse.
The boy's a fool.
No.
In the street?
Yes.
Oh. Is it useful?
Yes.
Or shoe.
Do be quiet, Fred.
It's a lamppost.
It's a carriage?
No.
Oh, a dustbin.
A lamppost.
No.
An umbrella?
No.
One of those newfangled post boxes.
No.
A lamppost!
Is it a lamppost?
Yes.
Oh, well done.
Spirit, may I stay until the guests depart?
It cannot be done.
I have an excellent one.
Here is a new game. 1/2 hour, Spirit. Only one.
Is it an object?
No.
An animal.
An animal?
Yes.
A live animal?
Yes.
A tame animal?
I don't know. It's rather a disagreeable animal.
Ooh, a savage animal.
Ow.
Yes,
Does it grunt?
sometimes.
It's a pig.
Is it a pig?
No,
Does it talk?
sometimes.
Oh,
A parrot.
Parrot!
parrot! Well, do you find it in London?
Yes.
In a menagerie.
No, it walks the streets.
Oh.
Is it in a show?
No,
Led by somebody?
nope,
Is it killed in a market?
no.
Fred, it's not a horse, is it?
An ass.
Is it a cow?
A bull?
Tiger.
A dog?
A bear.
No, no, no.
Oh, I found it out. I know what it is, Fred. I know what it is.
What is it?
It's your Uncle Scrooge.
Hey, you should have said yes to Is It a Bear? Quite put me off the track.
Oh, yes, plenty of food, and it would be ungrateful not to drink to his health. Here is a glass of mulled wine, ready to our hand at the moment, and I say, Uncle Scrooge.
Well,
Uncle Scrooge.
Uncle Scrooge.
A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to the old man, whatever he is. He wouldn't take it from me, but he may have it nonetheless. Uncle Scrooge.
Thank you, my friends. Unaccustomed as I am.
oh, some music.
Yes.
Will you sing for us, my dear?
Oh.
Oh, please do.
Oh.
Go on
Very
with
well.
you. Go on.
For your mother, Fred.
Oh.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, your troubles will be out of sight. Through the years, we all will be together, if the fates allow. So hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now.
When this strain of music sounded, all the things that ghost had shown him came upon his mind. He softened more and more, and thought that if he could have listened to it often years ago, he might have cultivated the kindnesses of life for his own happiness with his own hands, without resorting to the sexton's spade that buried Jacob Marley.
Me. In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow. In the bleak midwinter, long ago.
Much they saw, and far they went, and many homes they visited, but always with a happy end. The spirits stood beside sick beds, and they were cheerful, on foreign lands, and they were close at home, by struggling men, and they were patient in their greater hope, by poverty, and it was rich, in almshouse, hospital, and jail, in misery's every refuge, where vain man in his little brief authority had not made fast the door and barred the spirit out, he left his blessing and taught Scrooge his precepts.
Are spirits' lives so short?
My life upon this globe is very brief. It ends tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight, at midnight. The time is drawing near.
Spirit, forgive me if I'm not justified in what I ask, but I can see something strange and not belonging to yourself protruding from your skirts. Is it a foot or a claw?
It might be a claw, for the flesh there is upon it. Look here. Oh, man, look here, look down here.
They were a boy and girl, yellow, meagre, ragged, scowling, wolfish. Where graceful youth should have filled their features out and touched them with its freshest tints, a stale and shrivelled hand like that of age had pinched and twisted them and pulled them into shreds. Where angels might have sat enthroned, devils lurked and glared out menacing.
Spirit, are they yours?
They are man's, and they cling to me, appealing from their fathers. This boy is ignorance, this girl is want. Beware them both, and all of their degree, but most of all beware this boy, for on his brow I see that written which is doom, unless the writing be erased. Deny it, slander those who tell it ye, admit it for your factious purposes, and make it worse, and bide the end.
Have they no refuge or resource?
Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
I am in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come? You are about to show me things that have not happened, but will happen in the time before us. Is that so, Spirit? Ghost of the future. I fear you more than any spectre I have seen. But as I know your purpose is to do me good, and as I hope to live to be another man from what I was, I am prepared to bear you company, and do so with a thankful heart. Will you not speak to me? Lead on. Lead on. The night is waning fast, and it is precious time to me, I know. Lead on, Spirit. I know these men. They are men of business, very wealthy and of great importance. I have always made a point of standing high in their esteem. From a business point of view, that is, strictly from a business point of view.
Yeah, I don't know much about it either way. I only know he's dead.
When did he die?
Last night, I believe.
Why? What was the matter with him? I thought he'd never die.
God knows.
What's he done with his money?
I haven't heard. Left it to the company, perhaps. He hasn't left it to me, that's all I know. It's likely to be a very cheap funeral, for upon my life, I don't know of anybody to go to it. Suppose we make up a party and volunteer.
I don't mind going if lunch is provided, but I must be fed if I make one.
Well, I never wear black gloves, and I never eat lunch, but I'll offer to go if anybody else will. When I think of it, I'm not at all sure that I wasn't his most particular friend, for we used to stop and speak whenever we met. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi.
How are you?
Well, old Scratch has got his own at last, eh?
So I'm told. Cold, isn't it?
Oh, seasonable for Christmas time. You're not a skater, I suppose?
No. Something else to think of. Good morning.
Good morning.
They left the busy scene and went into an obscure part of the town where Scrooge had never penetrated before, although he recognized its situation and its bad repute. The ways were foul and narrow, the shops and houses wretched, the people half naked, drunken, slipshod, ugly. Alleys and archways, like so many cesspools, disgorged their offences of smell and dirt and life upon the straggling streets, and the whole quarter reeked with crime, with filth and misery. Far in this den of infamous resort there was a low-browed, beetling shop below a penthouse roof, where iron, old rags, bottles, bones, and greasy offal were bought.
Let the charwoman alone to be the first. Let the laundress alone to be the second. And let the Undertaker's man alone to be the third. Look here, old Joe, here's a chance. If we haven't all three met you without meaning it.
You couldn't have met in a better place. Come into pal. You were made free of it long ago, you know, and the other two act strangers stuck till I shut the door of the shop. Oh, how it squeaks. That's such a rusty bit of metal in the place. There's no such old bones here as mine as well, I do believe. Well, we're all suitable to our calling. We're all well matched. Come into parlour, come into parlour.
What odds then? What odds, Mrs. Dilber? Every person has a right to take care of themselves. He always did.
Right, sure indeed, no man more so.
Why then don't stand there staring as if you was afraid, woman. Who's the wiser? We're not going to pick holes in each other's coats, I suppose.
No, indeed.
I should hope not.
Very well then. That's enough. Who's the worst of the loss of a few things like these? Not a dead man, I suppose.
No, indeed. No.
If he wanted to keep him after he was dead, a wicked old screw, why wasn't he natural in his lifetime? If he had been, he'd have had somebody to look after him when he was struck with death, instead of lying there gasping out his last alone by himself.
It's the truest word that ever was spoke. It is a judgment on him.
I wish it was a little heavier judgment. And it should have been. You may depend upon it. If I could have laid my hands on anything else. Open that bundle, old Joe, and let me know the value of it. Speak out plain. I'm not afraid to be the first, nor afraid for them to know it. We know pretty well that we were helping ourselves before we met here, I believe. It's no sin. Open the bundle, Joe.
I shall not permit it.
A seal or two, a pencil case, and a pair of sleeve buttons, and Now, a brooch of no great value. It's your account, and I wouldn't give another sixpence if I was to be boiled for not doing it. Who's next?
So I got some sheets and towels, little wearing apparel. I've got 2 old-fashioned teaspoons, a pair of sugar tongs, he liked his tea, and a few boots.
Oh, well, I always gives too much to those pretty ladies. It's a weakness of mine, and that's the way I ruin myself. Now, that's your account. And if you asked for another penny and made it an open question, I'd repent to being so liberal and knock off half a crown.
And now undo my bundle, Joe.
Oh, what do you call these? Bed curtains, eh?
Bed curtains!
You don't mean to say you took them down, rings and all with him lying there?
Yes, I do. Why not?
Oh, well, you were born to make your fortune, and you'll certainly do it. Oh,
I certainly shan't hold my hand when I could get anything in it by reaching it out. For the sake of a man such as he was, I promise you, Joe. Don't drop that oil upon the blankets now.
His blankets.
Whose else's do you think? He isn't likely to take cold without him, I dare say.
I hope he didn't die of anything catch him, eh?
Oh, don't you be afraid of that. I aren't so fond of his company that I'd loiter about him for such things if he did. Huh? You may look through that shirt till your eyes ache, but you won't find a hole in it, nor a threadbare place. It's the best he had, and a fine one too. They'd have wasted it if it hadn't been for me.
Oh, what do you call a wasting of it?
Putting it on him to be buried in, to be sure. Somebody was fool enough to do it, but I took it off again. If calico aren't good enough for such a purpose, it isn't good enough for anything. It's quite as becoming to the body. He can't look uglier than he did in that one. This is the end of it, you see. He frightened everyone away from him when he was alive to profit us when he was dead.
Spirit! I see. The case of this unhappy man might be my own. My life leads that way now. Merciful heaven, what is this?
Oh, cold, rigid death, dreadful death, set up thine altar here, and dress it with such terrors as thou hast at thy command, for this is thy dominion. But of the loved, revered, and honoured head, thou canst not turn one hair to thy dread purposes, or make one feature odious. It is not that the hand is heavy and will fall down when released. It is not that the heart and pulse are still, but that the hand was open, generous, and true. The heart brave, warm, and tender, and the pulse a man's. Strike, shadow, strike, and see his good deeds springing from the wound to sow the world with life immortal.
If this man could be raised up now, what would be his foremost thoughts? Avarice, hard dealing, griping cares. They brought him to a rich end, truly. Spirit, this is a fearful place. In leaving it, I shall not leave its lessons. Trust me. Let us go. I understand you, and if I If I could do it, I would, but I have not the power, Spirit. I have not the power. If there is anyone in this town, who feels emotion caused by this man's death, Spirit, show that person to me now, I beseech you.
Is it good or bad?
Bad.
We are quite ruined.
No. There's hope yet, Caroline.
If he relents, there is. Nothing is past hope if such a miracle happened.
Past relenting, he's dead.
Oh, thank the Lord. Oh, heaven forgive me, I am sorry.
What the half-drunk woman, whom I told you of last night, said to me when I tried to see him and obtain a week's delay, and what I thought was a mere excuse to avoid me, turns out to have been quite true. He was not only very ill, but dying then.
Who will our debt be transferred to?
I don't know. But before that time we shall be ready with the money, and even though we were not, it would be a bad fortune indeed to find so merciless a creditor in his successor. We may sleep tonight with light hearts, Caroline.
Oh.
Is this the only emotion you can show me, Spirit? Pleasure? Let me see some tenderness connected with a death. Or that dark chamber, Spirit, which we left just now, will be forever present to me.
At the same time, the disciples came unto Jesus, saying, Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And he took a child and set him in the midst of them.
The colour hurt my eyes.
The colour?
They're better now again. It makes them weak by candlelight, and I wouldn't show weak eyes to your father when he comes home for the world. It must be near his time.
Past it rather, but I think he has walked a little slower than he used. These last few evenings, Mother.
I've known him walk with Tiny Tim upon his shoulder very fast indeed.
And so have I, often.
And I.
But he was very light to carry. And his father loved him so that it was no trouble. And there is your father at the door.
Oh, my dears. This is excellent work. You'll be done long before Sunday.
Sunday? You went today then, Robert?
Yes, my dear. I wish you could have gone. It would have done you good to see how green a place it is. But you'll see it oftener. I promised him I would walk there on a Sunday. My little child. My little child.
Peter, read on, my dear.
Verily I say unto you, ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoso shall receive one such little child in my name receiveth me. But whoso shall offend one of those little ones which believed in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea.
I met Mr. Scrooge's nephew in the street today. He was extraordinarily kind. I've scarcely seen him but once, but seeing that I looked just a little bit down, he inquired what had happened to distress me. On which, for he is the pleasantest spoken gentleman you ever heard, I told him. I'm heartily sorry for you, Mr. Cratchit, he said, and heartily sorry for your good wife. By the by, how he ever knew that, I don't know.
You what, my dear?
Why, that you were a good wife.
Everybody knows that.
Very well observed, my boy. I hope they do. Heartily sorry, he said, for your good wife. And if I could be of service to you in any way, he said, giving me his card. That's where I live. Pray come to me. That wasn't for the sake of anything he might be able to do for us, so much as for his kind way. That this was quite delightful. Really seemed as if he had known our Tiny Tim and felt with us.
I'm sure he's a good soul.
You'd be surer of it, my dear, if you saw and spoke to him. Now, I shouldn't be at all surprised, and mark what I say, if he got Peter a better situation.
Only hear that, Peter.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Peter will be keeping company with someone and setting up for himself.
Get along with you.
It's just as likely as not, one of these days, though there's plenty of time for that, my dear. But however and whenever we part from one another, I am sure we shall none of us forget poor Tiny Tim. Shall we? All this first parting that there was between us.
Never, Father.
And I know, my dears, that when we recollect how patient and how mild he was, although he was a little child, we shall not quarrel easily among ourselves and forget poor Tiny Tim in doing it.
No, never, Father.
I am very happy. I'm very happy.
Spectre, something informs me that our parting moment is at hand. I know it, but know not why. Tell me what man that was that we saw lying dead. This court through which we hurry now is where my place of occupation is, and has been for a length of time. There is the house. Let me behold what I shall be in days to come. The house is yonder. Why do you point away? It is an office still, but not mine. The furniture is not the same, and the figure in the chair is not myself.
A churchyard. Here, then, the wretched man, whose name he had now to learn, lay underneath the ground. It was a worthy place, walled in by houses, overrun by grass and weeds, the growth of vegetation's death, not life, choked up with too much burying, fat with repleted appetite. A worthy place.
Before I draw nearer to that stone to which you point, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of the things that will be, or shadows of things that may be only? Men's courses will foreshadow certain ends to which, if persevered in, they must lead. But if the courses be departed from, the ends will change. Say it is thus with what you show me. Am I that man who lay upon the bed? No, Spirit, no, Spirit, hear me. I am not the man I was. I will not be the man that I must have been but for this intercourse. Why show me this if I am past all hope? Good Spirit, your nature intercedes for me and pities me. Assure me that I yet may change these shadows you have shown me by an altered life. I will honour Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. God, don't tell me. I may sponge away the writing on this stone. It's a bedsheet. It's my own. The bed is my own. The room is my own. The time before me is my own to make amends in. I shall live in the past, the present, and the future. I shall strive with the gifts that the three spirits have given me. Jacob Marley. To heaven and the Christmas time be thanked for this. I say it on my knees. Old Jacob Marley, on my knees. The bed curtains are not torn down. They're not torn down, rings and all. They are here. I am here. The shadows of the things that would have been may be dispelled. They will be. I know they will. I don't know what to do. I am as light as a feather. I am as happy as an angel. I am as merry as a schoolboy. I am as giddy as a drunken man. Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy New Year to all the world. Hello here. Hello. There is the saucepan where the gruel was in, and there is the door through which the ghost of Jacob Marley entered, and there is the corner where the ghost of Christmas Present sat, and there is the window where I saw the wandering spirits. It's all true. It's all right. It all happened. I don't know what day of the month it is. I don't know how long I've spent among the spirits. I don't know anything. I'm quite a baby. Never mind. I don't care. I'd rather be a baby. Hello! Hello here! Oh, the glorious sunshine. Glorious, wonderful sky. Oh, sweet, fresh air. Merry day. Merry day. Hello, what's today?
Hey?
What's today, my fine fellow?
Today? Why, Christmas Day.
It's Christmas Day. I haven't missed it. The spirits did it all in one night. They can do anything they like. Of course they can. Of course they can. Hello, my fine fellow.
Hello.
Do you know the poulterers at the next street but one, at the corner?
I should hope I did.
An intelligent boy. Remarkable boy. Do you know whether they've sold the prize turkey that was hanging up there? Not the little prize turkey, the big one.
What, the one as big as me?
Delightful boy. What a pleasure it is to talk to him. Yes, my buck.
It's hanging there now.
Is it? Go and buy it.
What, Kerr?
No, I'm in earnest. Go and buy it and tell them to bring it here that I may direct them where to take it next. Come back with the man and I'll give you a shilling. Come back with the man in 5 minutes or less, and I'll give you £0.50. I shall send it to Bob Cratchit's. You'll never know who sent it. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim. I shall love it as long as I live. I scarcely looked at it before. What an honest expression it has on its face. It's a wonderful knocker. Oh, here's the turkey. Hello. How are you? Merry Christmas. It's impossible for you to carry that all the way to Camden. You must have a cab.
Oh, thank you, sir. Merry Christmas, the new.
And many of them, Gov.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you both.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come.
My dear sir, how do you do? I hope you succeeded yesterday. It was very kind of you. Merry Christmas to you.
Mr. Scrooge?
Yes, that's my name. I fear it may not be pleasant to you. Allow me to ask your pardon, and will you have the goodness to £1,000?
Oh, Lord bless me. Mr. Scrooge, are you serious?
Well, if you please. No, not a farthing less. A great many back payments are included in it, I assure you. Will you do me that favour?
My dear sir, I don't know what to say to such munificence.
Don't say anything, please. Come and see me. Will you come and see me?
I will.
Thank you. I'm much obliged. I thank you 50 times. Bless you.
He went to church and walked about the streets and watched the people hurrying to and fro, and patted children on the head and questioned beggars and looked down into the kitchens of houses and up to the windows and found that everything could yield him pleasure. He had never dreamed that any walk, that anything, could give him so much happiness. In the afternoon he turned his steps towards his nephew's house.
Is your master at home, my dear? Nice girl. Very.
Yes, sir.
Where is he, my love?
Oh, he's in the dining room, sir, along with mistress. I'll show you upstairs, if you please.
Thank ye. He knows me. I'll go in here, my dear. Fred?
I bless my soul. Who's that?
It's I, your Uncle Scrooge. I've come to Christmas dinner. Will you let me in, Fred?
I'll let him in. And it's a mercy he didn't shake his arm right off. He was feeling at home in 5 minutes. Nothing could be heartier.
His niece looked just the same.
So did Topper when he came.
And so did the plump sister when she came.
So did everyone when they came.
Wonderful party.
Wonderful games. Wonderful games.
Oh, wonderful happiness. Wonderful happiness.
But he was early in the office the next morning. He was early there. If he could only be there first and catch Bob Cratchit coming late. That was the thing he had set his heart upon.
And he did it. Yes, he did. The clock struck 9. No Bob. 1:15. No Bob. He was full 18 minutes and a half behind his time.
Hello? What do you mean by coming here at this time of day?
I'm very sorry, sir. I am behind my time.
You are? Yes, I think you are. Now, step this way, sir, if you please.
It's only once a year, sir. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday, sir.
Now, I'll tell you what, my friend. I am not going to stand this sort of thing any longer. And therefore, I am about to raise your salary. Merry Christmas, Bob. A merrier Christmas, Bob, my dear fellow, than I've given you for many a year. I shall raise your salary and endeavour to assist your struggling family. And we shall discuss your affairs this afternoon over a Christmas bowl of stinking bishop, Bob. Put another coal on the fire and buy a new coal scuttle, Bob. Cratchit.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh, and little heeded them, for he was wise enough to know that nothing ever happened on this globe for good, at which some people did not have their fill of laughter at the outset. His own heart laughed, and that was quite enough for him. He had no further intercourse with spirits, but lived upon the total abstinence principle ever afterwards, and it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that be truly said of us, and all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, every one.